Throughout a wrestler's career, there's an intense focus on staying healthy and maintaining an impressive physique to perform at the highest level. While some wrestlers continue to stay in this shape long after retirement, not all have the same commitment once they leave the spotlight. These are the wrestlers who let go of their iconic physiques after their stints with the WWE came to an end. Psycho Sid. On the top of the list is Psycho Sid, who was a monster throughout the 90s. With his intense eyes, towering physique, curly blonde hair, crazy eyes, and super intense, talk softly then yell ferociously style of speaking, and unique mix of quietly menacing and explosively loud theme songs, he had a presence that kept fans on edge. Sid brought the cool bad guy that kick-ass vibe to the ring, dominating long before anti-heroes like Stone Cold Steve Austin made it mainstream. Sporting his signature black trunks and boots, Sid seemed unstoppable until 2001, when an in-ring accident resulted in a career-altering leg injury. In a moment that would go down as one of wrestling's most brutal injuries, Sid attempted a top rope big boot, an unusual move for a wrestler of his size and style. Unfortunately, the risk didn't pay off. He landed awkwardly, resulting in a severe leg injury with multiple fractures. This brutal moment marked the beginning of the end for the man who rules the world, leading to sporadic appearances before he officially retired in August 2017. While Sid today resembles his prime, he's not the same powerhouse he once was. His iconic blonde curls remain shorter, and he's traded his ripped physique for a more relaxed look. But that's nothing compared to his drastic post-fame change, a bodybuilder. In 2012, Sid surprised fans by taking a stab at bodybuilding, getting ripped, oiled up, and fat-free against much younger competitors at the age of 51. It was a short-lived but impressive return to form, one he didn't pursue further. For Sid, it seems the thrill of ruling the world still hasn't been fully replaced. Moving on to the total package, Lex Luger. Known as the Total Package, Lex had one of the most impressive physiques in wrestling history. During his time in the WWF, he was dubbed the Narcissist. His body was so perfectly chiseled that he couldn't stop staring at himself in the mirror during a pre-match. It wasn't even close to an exaggeration. He was then transformed into an all-American hero following the departure of Hulk Hogan from the company. Those days are, unfortunately, long gone. Lex Luger today is a shadow of his former self. Following his retirement from WWE in 2007, things started spiraling for Lex both in his life and physically. Years of drug abuse and a spinal infarction that left him temporarily paralyzed from the neck down took a toll on his body. Speaking to ESPN in 2007 about his drug antics, he said, "If you snort it, spray it, shoot it, inject it, I did it, buddy, or I was around it. That was my life. Alcohol, I abused it all, buddy. I took a lot of pills. I was a pill popper." While he's regained some movement and can even walk short distances with a cane, his once legendary physique has diminished. Once tipping the scales at 275 pounds of muscle, Luger now weighs around 185 pounds. As he shared in 2008, "I was one of the strongest guys on the planet. I was bench pressing 450 pounds my senior year of high school. I was a freak. Now I can't lift a 1-pound dumbbell." Today he might manage a bit more, but those days of lifting heavy weights remain a memory. Since then, Lex has redirected his life, focusing on family, his faith. He's been a born-again Christian since 2006, and rebuilding his life outside the wrestling ring. He has far more personal strength than physical strength at this point. Next we have Road Dogg, whose real name is Jesse James. Road Dogg. Unlike many of his WWE peers and his tag team partner Billy Gunn, Road Dogg wasn't known for his jacked physique, but rather for his charisma and skill in the ring. Throughout his 20-plus years, Dogg made his mark in the wrestling world as part of the iconic faction D-Generation X, working alongside talents such as Triple H and Billy Gunn. Although his time with DX was just a short part of his career, his time in the faction and the New Age Outlaws tag team alongside Gunn is what he is most remembered for when it comes to wrestling. However, since his retirement from WWE, Dogg has since taken a more relaxed approach in that regard. Fans who see him today notice that his build is less defined, though his personality remains just as engaging. Not only that, he also developed health issues following the end of his in-ring career. During an appearance on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, he revealed his current health issues and injuries. "I do have really bad arthritis in my knees and ankles and feet and hands. My left knee now is horrible and my lower back is not as bad as a lot of guys, so I knock on wood and thank God for that. I have lingering injuries that are just there," Dogg said. Then we have Batista, who gained notoriety for his massive physique during his professional wrestling career, but the reverse is the case now. Batista. Known as the Animal, fans were captivated by his physique and strength, making him one of the era's standout stars. During his time in WWE career, Batista solidified his legacy by winning the WWE Championship 6 times, holding the tag team titles for 4 times, and emerging victorious in the Royal Rumble twice in 2005 and 2014 respectively. Following the conclusion of his main wrestling run in 2010, Batista ventured off into Hollywood. Just like in wrestling, breaking into Hollywood came with its challenges, and Batista initially struggled to find his footing. In 2014, he landed the role of Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he wasn't fully satisfied with being typecast in such roles in subsequent movies. One of the steps he took to improve his Hollywood life is to adjust his body for roles that didn't require the same intense muscle mass. He decided to shift to a vegan diet, and as a result, he acquired a leaner, more sustainable build. During an appearance at a movie premiere in Toronto, fans were so shocked by the former wrestler's slimmer look that one was forced to ask, what happened to Batista? Batista, who stood 6'4" and weighed over 280 pounds and sometimes 370 pounds, now weighs 240 pounds. In a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet, Batista also opened up about his fitness journey and weight loss transformation.
I mean, because I'm basically killing myself to be this trim. I mean, I'm training hard. Not only training hard, but my calories are pretty restricted.
And what are we talking?
I don't know, maybe 2,500 calories a day.
That's like enough for someone my size.
Yeah. For me, it's like nothing. I mean, I'm just not eating much. And I'm not starving or anything.
Next is Scott Steiner, a WWE Hall of Famer with a great wrestling career that spanned over 3 decades. Scott Steiner. He has wrestled for numerous top positions and held multiple titles. Besides his success with the tag team Steiner Brothers alongside his brother Rick Steiner, Scott also made a name for himself as a singles star in WCW, where he won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Scott had one of the best physiques for any professional wrestler. His impressive physique played a role in his rise to fame in the wrestling world. Over the years, the 60-year-old legendary wrestler's physique has gone through many changes. When Scott ascended in his singles career, breaking away from his tag team's day with Rick, he completely changed his persona. First, he changed his appearance drastically, sporting blonde hair instead of a black mullet. He also started having a blonde beard and chainmail headgear. But the most jaw-dropping change in Steiner transformation was his physique. He packed on a lot of muscle mass and shedding fat to get in the best shape of his life. This stunning transformation didn't go unnoticed. WCW took notice of Steiner's new look and rewarded him with a main event level push. Steiner ended up winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, but following his departure from WWE in 2004, Steiner no longer sports the physically fit body he once had. Making his first public appearance in 2022, Steiner has scaled back from the intense bodybuilder size he once carried, but he remains in good shape for his 62 years of age. Continuing to Vladimir Kozlov, who unlike several WWE retirees on this list, had his physique jacked up after retirement. Vladimir Kozlov. During his WWE tenure, Vladimir Kozlov experienced the typical highs and lows that come with being a WWE superstar. Initially, Kozlov dominated the competition, enjoying a winning streak and even finding himself in contention for the WWE Championship. His shocking clean victory over The Undertaker in November 2008 made fans wonder if he was the next big thing in the company. Kozlov also shared the ring with other big names in WWE, including current executive Triple H. However, once he started to pick up a few defeats, WWE lost interest in the once intimidating presence and relegated him to a supporting role as Santino Marella's silly sidekick. Kozlov would finally leave WWE in late 2011 and reinvented himself, transitioning from wrestling to a successful career as a producer, actor, and stuntman. However, the most striking transformation was his jaw-dropping body transformation. Kozlov had a larger physique during his time as a wrestler in WWE, but that wasn't the case after his retirement. Kozlov shed his doughy physique and put on a chiseled, ripped body that rivaled many Hollywood action stars. Kozlov put this stunning physique into good use in movies like John Wick 2 and Fast and Furious 6, while he also appeared in Season 2 of Netflix's The Punisher in 2019. While Kozlov remains on good terms with Vince McMahon's company, he's clearly more interested in maintaining his ripped physique and successful acting career rather than returning to in-ring action anytime soon. On to our next wrestler on the list, Chris Hero. Chris Hero. Many fans know Chris Hero, popularly known as Cassius Ohno, because of his second stint in WWE, but he had been working with the company way before, but only with a different physique. Ohno was lanky and skinny during his first WWE run, which led to his quick release. However, after his release, he spent time on the independent scene, where he ended up gaining weight. But despite his visibly different physique on his return, his in-ring ability remained as sharp as ever. He was great to watch in NXT with his hard-hitting style that is filled with strikes being a lot of fun to watch for fans. Throughout his career, Ohno has demonstrated that his skill, technique, and dedication outshine any physical expectations, showing he can outwork anybody. However, there were points where being a bigger wrestler likely did hurt him, especially under Vince McMahon's traditional view of the wrestling business. Unlike Chris Hero, Jake the Snake Roberts experienced a skyrocketed weight upon his retirement, which could have led to his death. Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake Roberts is one of the memorable characters of the Golden Era, but despite his success, he never held the World Heavyweight Championship because he fought in an era dominated by Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and the Ultimate Warrior. Despite that, he was a legend nonetheless. He played the role of the heel that you love to hate with a style that hadn't been seen before or since. His character, which included the use of a live snake, became iconic. He was skilled at promo work, which helped to elevate his status in the wrestling world. His profound but dark interviews were also a major part of his success, a skill largely fueled by his depressing childhood. This in-ring psychology and promos are what Jake was known for during his WWE, not his physique. During his heyday, Roberts stood 6'6" and weighed 250 pounds, yet he lacked a refined physique during his top WWE performances. However, outside the ring, Roberts battled intense personal demons. His recreational use of alcohol and cocaine led to severe addiction, plunging him into depression. His relationships frayed, and his children cut ties with him. His health deteriorated as his weight skyrocketed to 380 pounds, and years of wrestling took a toll on his joints. The Snake had become a shadow of his former self, and without intervention, his life was in serious danger. But he eventually got help from Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, who assisted him in overcoming his addiction to drugs and alcohol. Page invited him to stay with him in Atlanta, and he played the part of coach, psychologist, and ally. Page did everything he could to shepherd Roberts out of his own enveloping darkness. After years of battling addiction and deteriorating health, he found a new path that led him from being isolated and out of touch to standing proud as a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. Scott Hall also struggled with weight issues throughout his life after his retirement from WWE, but like Jake Roberts, he was able to deal with it with the assistance of DDP. Scott Hall. Scott, famously known as Razor Ramon, holds an iconic place in the history of WWE and WCW. Recognized and respected by fans and fellow wrestlers alike, Scott is often celebrated as one of the most talented wrestlers ever to have won a world championship during his remarkable career, which spanned over 30 years. Scott vs. Michaels was the first televised ladder match by a major company, and it set the bar for all subsequent ladder matches to try and exceed. In his WWE days, Scott was enamored with large physiques and found the then key to size bulking. Following his retirement, Scott started experiencing issues with drugs and alcohol issues and was checked into a WWE-sponsored rehabilitation center in 2010. However, despite completing the program, Hall's health issues persisted. But these issues had even been present in Scott's life during his WWE days, only that they're not that worst. He was infamously fired from WWE in May 2002, not King, after he returned to the company due to intoxication and inappropriate behavior on set. Scott's downward spiral continued until 2013 when Diamond Dallas Page intervened. Now, Hall's physical condition has seen a remarkable turnaround after years of struggles with substance abuse that had left him a shadow of his former self. After getting through DDP's program, and with the help of his fans, who crowdfunded his hip surgery at Page's urging, Hall managed to regain a significant portion of his health and mobility. Since then, he has made significant progress, looking stronger and healthier and proving just how resilient he could be, even after the challenges he faced until his death in 2022. Next up, we have the erotic wrestler, Goldust. Goldust, the son of WWE veteran Dusty Rhodes, was one of the well-known characters in WWE during his time. Goldust's character was nothing short of creepy, a mix of a long wig, face paint, feathered robes, and suggestive innuendo woven into his actions and body language. Everything pointed to the unsettling gimmick as being one of the most original and effective gimmicks the WWF had ever seen. This character was instantly over with the crowd. Every time Goldust hit the ramp, fans reacted. Some laughed, others booed, and some simply shook their heads heads in shock and disgust. Regardless of how they felt, he commanded attention, and he got it by the truckload. At the end of his run with WWE in 2003, Goldust ended up wrestling in a few different promotions before debuting in TNA. In the summer of 2005, Goldust's contract with TNA expired, and rather than renewing, he re-signed with WWE, making his return as Goldust. However, this run was brief, and Rhodes soon found himself back in TNA, debuting a new character of his own creation. This time, he introduced a split personality, portraying the character of Black Rain. While it was clearly an attempt to replicate Goldust's success and keep Rhodes in face paint, Black Rain didn't achieve the same level of popularity. One of the reasons for this is his weight. While he wasn't as jacked up or ripped as the majority of wrestlers, Goldust's physique was built to fit his character, and he maintained that until he left WWE. Immediately after his departure from WWE, Goldust gained a lot of weight. This weight gain was particularly noticeable during his time with TNA. It was a challenging period in his career as he was out of shape, and age seemed to be catching up with him. Despite this low point, Goldust deserves immense credit for turning things around, adding many years to his career. In a 2013 interview, Goldust shared that he feels better than ever after losing 60 pounds on a no-carb diet. As unbelievable as it sounds, Goldust had actually shed 60 pounds off his body. Moving on to Ahmed Johnson, who was high on Vince McMahon's list of potential future stars during his era largely for his physique. Ahmed Johnson. With his imposing physique and size, Johnson fits the mold of a prototypical WWE superstar even more than established names like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels. Standing tall and powerfully built, he often towered over his opponents. His strength and power matched his impressive height, making him a formidable presence in the ring. However, he still had work to do to reach the level of Hart and Michaels. To help him grow, WWE gave Ahmed a significant push, aiming to elevate his skills in both promos and in-ring performance. A huge moment in his career came when he won the Intercontinental Championship from Goldust. He became the first black wrestler to hold that title, and it was seen as a big stepping stone for wrestlers that WWE wanted in the main event sooner rather than later. But his success was short-lived. During a highly anticipated match between Ahmed and the winner of Shawn Michaels and Vader on the Raw in 1996, kidney issues took Ahmed off the television, with his planned matches canceled. Even worse, the Intercontinental Championship reign lost all momentum when Ahmed lost the title. Another setback came when Ahmed Johnson suffered an injury that canceled his planned match at In Your House, Canadian Stampede, where he was scheduled to compete. As a result, Vader took his place. With these injuries and lack of improvement, Ahmed was released by WWE management in early 1999 due to differences, and finally left the wrestling business behind in 2003. But Ahmed not only lost his career, he also relapsed when it came to maintaining his physique. Over time, he gained plenty of weight, which has often surprised wrestling fans who remember his powerful build during his prime. Then we have Sunny. In the late 90s, few women in wrestling could rival Tammy Sunny Sitch in terms of pure popularity. With her beauty, charisma, and sex appeal, she captured the hearts of millions, and according to WWE.com, she was even the most downloaded woman on America Online at one point. While Sunny wasn't known for her in-ring skills, her personality made her an icon, and every fan's dream girl. Today, however, you'd be hard-pressed to figure out why. The present Sunny has gained more weight, as many wrestlers do over time, but more troubling is how much of her once famous charisma and sunniness has faded. She now battles ongoing issues with drugs, finances, and legal troubles. Her legal issues began to surface publicly in 2012 when she was arrested multiple times, including twice within 2 days for stalking an ex-boyfriend, and 5 times in a single month. In 2013, she was jailed for 114 days after violating a restraining order from that same ex. Tragically, her struggles escalated, and in 2022, she was involved in a fatal car accident that killed a 75-year-old man while she was driving under the influence. The following year, she was sentenced to 17 years in prison after being convicted of DUI manslaughter. Next on the list is Brian Knobbs. Brian Knobbs. As one half of the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs embodied the team's name perfectly. Dressed in black gear with graffiti-style lettering, sporting a mohawk, and notorious for his signature move of shoving an opponent's face into his partner's stinky armpit, Knobbs was the ultimate big, burly schoolyard bully. Though he didn't have a chiseled physique, he was clearly muscular and tough, a powerhouse who brought a raw edge to the ring. Alongside his partner, Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys became a mainstay at the top of tag team divisions, competing at the highest levels in WCW WCW and WWE. Together, they won the WCW Tag Team Championships 3 times and claimed the WWE Tag Team Championship once. While Knobbs is a big guy in WWE, after retirement, Knobbs doesn't look anything like that. While he still sports the mohawk, he no longer resembles the big tough bully he used to portray. Now he's far fatter than he used to be and feels more like someone playing the role of a punk than genuinely embodying it. As a result of this heavy weight and alcoholism, Knobbs' health became complicated and he started frequenting the hospital. Eventually, in order to keep living, he had to let go of his alcoholism, the party lifestyle, and shed his weight. In another situation, Bret Hart's physique absolutely changed upon retiring. Bret Hart boasts one of the most impressive resumes in the history of the professional wrestling world. A true legend, he's an established pillar of the industry and one of the greatest wrestlers to ever step foot into the squared circle. An icon of the business, Bret made his mark in the WWE with his masterful in-ring psychology and his trademark excellence of execution. Known for his long, wet hair, signature pink and black leather jacket, and trademark pink wraparound sunglasses, Bret redefined the color pink, making it cool and tough for guys in a way that hadn't been seen in years. Once regarded as the best in the company, the physicality and athleticism were as clear-cut as his physique in his prime, but Bret looks and acts a lot differently now, and not just because he has gotten older. His career came to an abrupt end in 2000 after a severe concussion from a stiff kick to the head by Goldberg. Just 2 years later, he suffered a major stroke that left the left side of his body paralyzed. Although he regained much of his mobility through months of therapy, his body has visibly changed. In recent appearances, Hart moves more slowly. His hair has turned mostly white, and he's swapped his iconic shades for ordinary glasses, a stark contrast to the image of prime Bret, as seen on the shirt worn by his niece, Natalya. Then we have Brutus Beefcake, the renowned barber of WWE. Brutus Beefcake took one of the silliest ideas in wrestling. He's a barber, but he also wrestles, and turned it into a successful gimmick. With his shredded tights, conspicuous bow tie, giant garden shears, and wide-eyed psychotic grin, Beefcake transformed himself into a legitimately dangerous and unpredictable character. Rather than just a guy who might trim your sides during the day and bash the Iron Sheik's skull in at night, he became a memorable figure who made the most of his bizarre yet entertaining persona. But Brutus isn't only popular for his barber gimmicks. He's also known for being an ex-friend of Hulk Hogan. Brutus had most of his high-profile world title feud with Hulk Hogan and teamed up with him to take on top heels. Today, Brutus is mostly retired, though he still occasionally appears at independent shows. However, if he's not wearing his iconic gear and wielding those garden shears like his life depends on it, you'd hardly recognize him. He's gained weight, and his hair is much shorter, almost as if he gave himself a trim. Like many wrestlers, Beefcake struggled with drug issues, and in 2004, the Boston Herald reported a bizarre incident in which he left behind a bag of cocaine on the Boston subway, sparking fears it could be anthrax. He later checked himself into rehab and seems to have mostly turned things around since. Though he may not look the same as he did in the 80s, the fact that he's still around is nothing short of a miracle, especially considering his face was nearly shattered in a 1990 parasailing accident. Moving on to the second female on the list. Medusa, also known as Alundra Blaze, was one of the most original and most iconic divas in both WWF and WCW. Known for her bold bodysuits, including a memorable Stars and Stripes outfit, Medusa was one of WCCW's hottest stars when she joined in 1991. As Medusa in WCW, she showed that women could be both beautiful and fierce competitors, proving they could battle as hard as the men. Under the name Alundra Blaze in WWF, she spearheaded the new women's division and delivered unforgettable matches against Japanese stars like Bull Nakano, Aja Kong, Luna Vachon, and Monster Ripper, who wrestled as Bertha Faye in WWF. However, after rejoining WCW in 1995 and famously tossing the WWF Women's Championship into a trash can on live TV, she became persona non grata with Vince McMahon. When WWF acquired WCW in 2001, Medusa chose to retire rather than face the backlash from her former company. Since stepping away from wrestling, Medusa has embraced a new chapter as a true Renaissance woman. She became a champion monster truck driver, naming her truck Medusa and winning international titles. She even served as vice president of her own monster truck league for a year. Outside of motorsports, she opened a pet spa and doggy bakery and held the role of commissioner for World Wonder Ring Stardom, a top Japanese women's wrestling promotion. Today, the 60-year-old embraces aging naturally, as shared on her Instagram, which features photos from her wrestling days, along with snapshots of her everyday life. Once a bleach blonde in the ring, Medusa now embraces her natural hair color. Next up, we have Val Venus. fans of late 90s WWF will undoubtedly remember Val Venus, particularly the ladies he was aimed to charm. His character, a former adult film star turned wrestler, came complete with flowing hair, a chiseled physique, suggestive hip movements, and a steady stream of innuendos right down to his last name. His entrance, often in just a towel, flanked by real-life adult film star Jenna Jameson, set the tone for his provocative character. Storylines would frequently involve him feuding with other wrestlers after filming a movie with their girlfriends or valets. In true Attitude Era fashion, this outrageous character was surprisingly presented as a fan favorite. He twice held the Intercontinental Championship. Today, Val Venus is far removed from his former adult film star-inspired wrestling persona. The long curly hair is gone, replaced by a look that might suit a high school substitute teacher more than the Attitude Era icon he once was. He now rocks a bald head and white beard, making him unrecognizable to his glory days. Although he still has the looks for risque roles, his focus has shifted entirely. Venus is now a prominent advocate for marijuana legalization, crediting pot with saving his life. In a 2015 interview with The Inquisitor, his passion even led him to open his own dispensary, Health for Life, in Mesa, Arizona. Like Venice, Tugboat also sheds off some of his risque features on retiring. Tugboat Fred Ottman made his wrestling debut in 1984, competing for 16 years before retiring in 2000. Over the course of his career, Fred adopted several gimmicks. As the powerful Tugboat in WWE, Fred Ottman was a key babyface and ally to none other than Hulk Hogan, and he also had several matches against The Undertaker. Later in his career, Fred turned heel and rebranded himself as Typhoon, joining forces with former sumo wrestler Earthquake John Tena, who he calls his brother from another mother, to form the formidable tag team known as the Natural Disasters. This team proved popular and later also worked as faces. While Fred saw moderate success with his Tugboat and Typhoon personas, especially with Typhoon, as he captured the WWE Tag Team Championship alongside Earthquake, it was his 1993 debut in GCW as the Shockmaster that made him infamous. Meant to be an intimidating force, the Shockmaster's entrance went hilariously wrong when Ottman tripped through a wall, losing his helmet in the process. Fred's physicality was monstrous, nearly 400 pounds of power and a menacing mug that struck fear in opponents' hearts. Today, Fred's look has drastically transformed from his wrestling days. Gone are the long locks, now replaced with a short cropped style and a chalk-white goatee. He looks less like Tugboat and Typhoon. Though older, he looks healthy and content with life after wrestling, which is what matters most. If you enjoyed the video, click on the card showing on your screen right now for more.